The legend of Robin Hood has captured imaginations for centuries, tainting the picture of a noble outlaw who robbed from the rich to give to the poor. But what if the real story behind this famous figure is far more complex than the heroic tales we've been told? What if Robin Hood wasn't just one man, but a symbol of resistance born from the struggles of many? The truth is, the origins of this legendary figure are shrouded in mystery, blending history, folklore, and centuries of storytelling into a myth that refuses to fade. The earliest references to Robin Hood appear in medieval ballads, sung in taverns and village squares long before they were ever written down. These weren't the sanitized, child-friendly versions we know today. They were rough, violent tales of survival and defiance. The Robin Hood of these old stories wasn't always the selfless hero later generations would celebrate. Sometimes, he was a ruthless outlaw, a man driven to the edges of society by a world that favored the powerful. He lived by his wits, his bow, and his willingness to fight back against a system that crushed the poor. To understand why Robin Hood became such an enduring legend, we have to look at the world he supposedly lived in. England in the 12th and 13th centuries was a place of deep inequality. Kings and nobles demanded heavy taxes from peasants who could barely feed themselves. Sheriffs, often corrupt, enforced these laws with brutal efficiency. If you couldn't pay, you might lose your home, your land, or even your life. In this kind of world, it's no surprise that stories of a rebel who defied the powerful would spread like wildfire. Robin Hood wasn't just a character, he was a fantasy of justice in a time when real justice was hard to find. But was Robin Hood a real person? Historians have debated this for centuries. Some believe he was based on actual outlaws whose deeds were exaggerated over time. One candidate is Robert Hood, a fugitive mentioned in court records from the 1220s, who was declared an outlaw for unpaid debts. Others suggest Robin could have been a former soldier, perhaps a veteran of the Crusades, who returned home to find corruption and took matters into his own hands. There's even a theory that Robin Hood was a nickname used by multiple rebels, a title adopted by different men who fought against oppression in their own ways. Sherwood Forest, the legendary hideout of Robin and his merry men, was a real place of vast, untamed woodland where outlaws could disappear. That the famous band of followers might not have been as cheerful as later tales suggest. Early ballads describe Little John as a towering, fearsome fighter, more of a brawler than a friendly giant. Friar Tuck was originally a rogue clergyman who loved drinking and fighting as much as praying, and Maid Marian. She wasn't even part of the earliest stories, she was added later, likely to give Robin a love interest and soften his rough edges. Perhaps the most surprising twist is that the Robin Hood of the oldest tales wasn't always a selfless champion of the poor. Some versions show him as a clever thief who targeted the rich, but didn't necessarily give everything away. The idea of him as a pure-hearted hero grew over time, shaped by centuries of retellings that polished his image. By the time Hollywood got hold of him, he was a full-blown noble rebel, a symbol of justice rather than a cunning survivor of medieval ballads. So why does Robin Hood's story still resonate today? Because the themes at its core are timeless. In every era, people root for the underdog, the rebel who stands up when the system is unfair. Whether he was a real man or a legend stitched together from many, Robin Hood represents the fight against oppression, a struggle that never really ends. His story changes with the times, adapting to fit new battles, but the heart of it remains the same. The idea that one person, or many, can push back against injustice. The legend of Robin Hood is more than just an old tale, it's a mirror reflecting the hopes and frustrations of ordinary people throughout history. And as long as there are those who feel powerless against the powerful, his story will continue to be told, reinvented, and remembered. The real Robin Hood may be lost to time, but the spirit he represents lives on.
Hey there, if you're enjoying this video and appreciate the effort behind it, don't forget to like this video. It really helps the channel grow, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update. Oh, and one more thing, share this video with your friends. Spread the love and support. Alright, now let's get back to the video. Let me know if you want any tweaks.